I still don't know why I agreed to meet her there of all places. A playground at night? It sounded like a scene straight out of a horror movie. But Sierra had this charm about her. Even through the screen, she was playful, adventurous, and her texts were full of teasing intrigue. When she suggested we meet at the old playground behind Maplewood Elementary for a midnight adventure, I couldn't resist. I pulled up to the chain-link fence and encircled the school grounds, the cold December air biting at my face as I stepped out of the car. The place looked as eerie as I'd imagined. Rusted swings dangled lifelessly, the slide coated in years of grime. The faint yellow light from a nearby street lamp barely reached the playground, casting long skeletal shadows across the equipment. "Sierra?" I called out, my breath fogging in the air. Silence. I walked further in, the crunch of my boots against the frosted grass the only sound. For a moment, I wondered if this was some elaborate prank. But then I spotted something unusual. The swing set at the center of the playground moved. Slowly at first, the chains creaked as one of the swings rocked back and forth. I froze. No wind. Nothing else moved. "Sierra?" I called again, my voice shakier this time. A faint giggle echoed, soft and childlike. I turned sharply, my heart racing. "Hello? Who's there?" The giggle faded, leaving me alone in the oppressive silence. My instinct screamed at me to leave, but my pride held me in place. I wasn't going to let a spooky playground scare me off. Not yet. The seesaw suddenly groaned under an invisible weight, its rusted hinges straining as one end dipped low. My breath caught in my throat. "Sierra, if this is a joke, it's not funny." Another laugh, this one closer, more insistent. I scanned the playground, my pulse hammering. Then I saw it, near the base of a large oak tree. Something glinted in the faint light. Curiosity, or maybe stupidity, got the better of me. I approached cautiously, every muscle in my body tense. Carved into the tree's bark, in jagged, uneven letters, was my name, Ben. I stared at it, my mind racing. How did this get here? I hadn't been to this playground since I was a kid. And even then, I didn't remember ever carving my name into anything. Just below my name, fresh carving seemed to mock me. "You never left." "What the hell?" I whispered. The air around me grew heavy, almost suffocating. I stumbled back from the tree, trying to process what I was seeing. The faint laughter returned, this time all around me, like a chorus of unseen children. I spun in place, desperate to find the source, but there was no one. The swings were now moving wildly, as if propelled by invisible hands. The merry-go-round creaked as it spun faster and faster, though no one was there to push it. Panic set in, and I sprinted back toward the car. I didn't care about Sierra anymore. I just needed to get the hell out of there. But as I reached the fence, something stopped me dead in my tracks. The parking lot, my car, was gone. The street lamp, the road, everything beyond the playground had vanished. I turned back, my chest heaving. The playground stretched infinitely in all directions, the equipment multiplying, twisting into unnatural shapes. The slide loomed impossibly tall, its shadow curling like a serpent. The monkey bars contorted into jagged, rusted spikes. "No, no, no," I muttered, clutching my head. A voice whispered behind me, soft and familiar. "Why are you running, Ben? Don't you remember how much fun we had here?" I whipped around, but no one was there. Only the faint outline of the oak tree stood in the distance, its bark now covered in carvings, dozens, maybe hundreds, of my name etched into its surface. Beneath each one was the same phrase, "You never left." My mind reeled, fragments of forgotten memories bubbling to the surface. Me as a child, laughing on the swings. My friends calling my name, their voices echoing like the laughter I heard now. A shadowy figure in the distance, always watching, always waiting. I tried to scream, but the sound died in my throat as the ground beneath me shifted. The playground equipment moved, rearranging itself like pieces on a board. The swings dragged themselves closer, their chains rattling like bones. The merry-go-round spun faster, its squeal deafening. And then everything stopped. The laughter returned, louder this time, surrounding me in a cacophony of shrieks and giggles. I dropped to my knees, clutching my ears. The whispers came next, hissing directly into my mind. Stay and play, Ben. You've always belonged here. Something cold wrapped around my wrist. I looked down and saw tiny, pale fingers gripping me, hands that weren't attached to anything. I yanked my arm free and stumbled back, but the hands multiplied, clawing at me from the ground. I ran, weaving through the twisted playground, my breath ragged. But no matter how far I ran, I always ended up back at the oak tree. Its branches loomed overhead like skeletal arms, and the carving seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. The truth hit me like a punch to the gut. This wasn't just a playground. It was a trap, a place where time and reality twisted, where childhood innocence turned into something monstrous. I dropped to the ground, exhausted, as the laughter swelled to an unbearable crescendo, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, it was daytime. The playground looked normal again, bathed in soft sunlight. Birds chirped, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of the oak tree. I stumbled to my feet, disoriented but relieved. Had it all been a nightmare? Ben! A cheerful voice called out. I turned and saw Sierra standing by the swings, her smile radiant. You made it! I stared at her, my mind racing. What was going on? Come on, she said, her voice sweet and inviting. Let's play. Something in her eyes wasn't right. Something dark, something ancient. And then I noticed the carvings on her arm. My name, over and over again. As I backed away, the playground began to twist and darken once more. The swings moved on their own, the laughter returning like a tide. I tried to scream, but the world dissolved into shadows and echoes. Now I'm here, stuck, forever playing their games, forever running in circles. If you ever come across the playground behind Maplewood Elementary, don't stop. Don't listen to the laughter. And for God's sake, don't let them carve your name. I had always prided myself on being a thrill seeker. Heights, darkness, the paranormal, nothing scared me. At least, that's what I thought. The invite came through a strange profile on an urban exploration forum. It promised an exclusive after-hours carnival experience for those daring enough to enter. A once-in-a-lifetime adventure, it read. That was all I needed to pack my flashlight, grab my camera, and head out. When I arrived, the place looked like it hadn't hosted a carnival in decades. The rides were rusted, the booths torn to shreds by time and weather. Yet, a faint glow emanated from the heart of the carnival, like embers that refused to die. Faded neon signs flickered intermittently, casting eerie shadows on the cracked pavement. The air carried a metallic tang, sharp and foreboding, yet I couldn't turn back. I wasn't scared. Not yet. I wandered to the ghost town of attractions, each one more decrepit than the last. The carousel stood still, its painted horses peeling and chipped. As I passed it, the sound of distant laughter tickled my ears. I froze, spinning around to find its source, but there was no one there. Hello? I called out, the sound of my voice swallowed by the oppressive silence. And then it started. The carousel creaked to life, slowly at first, the horses bobbing up and down as the platform rotated. A haunting melody poured from its speakers, distorted and broken, as if dragged through decades of decay. The horses' faces seemed to twist in the flickering light, their painted eyes glinting with malice. I should have run, but the thrill-seeker in me, the idiot who couldn't resist a good scare, stayed rooted the spot. My camera was out in an instant, the shutter clicking as I documented the impossible. That's when I noticed them. Figures, translucent, pale, and hollow-eyed, seated on the carousel's horses. Their mouths hung open in silent screams, their heads twisting unnaturally with the motion of the ride. I staggered back, heart pounding, as one of them turned its gaze to me. Its lips didn't move, but I heard a whisper in my ear, "Join us." I bolted. The carnival was alive now. The Ferris wheel spun slowly, its lights forming patterns that made my stomach churn just to look at them. The bumper cars skittered across their track, their jagged edges sparking like teeth gnashing together. Every step I took felt heavier, like the carnival itself was trying to pull me into its rotting embrace. And then I saw it, the vortex. The Ferris wheel's lights had shifted. forming a swirling spiral of blinding colors. The air around it felt charged, buzzing with an unnatural energy that made my skin crawl. A low hum grew louder with every second, resonating in my chest, in my teeth, in my very bones. I should have run. God, I should have run. Instead, I walked closer, hypnotized by the swirling lights. The vortex seemed alive, pulsating with an eerie rhythm that matched the pounding of my heart. Suddenly, the pull began. It was like 1,000 invisible hands grabbing at me, dragging me toward the wheel. I grabbed the nearest thing I could, a rusted fence, and clung to it for dear life. My fingers dug into the metal as the wind whipped around me, but it wasn't enough. I screamed as my grip gave way, my body yanked into the air like a rag doll. The world exploded into color and sound, a kaleidoscope of chaos that twisted my mind and shredded my senses. My ears rang with laughter, high-pitched, hysterical, and wrong. The colors blurred together, spinning faster and faster until I couldn't tell up from down, left from right. When it stopped, I was no longer in the carnival. Or maybe I was. The rides were there, but they were different. They gleamed with a sickly, unnatural light, their shapes twisted and wrong. The air was thick, heavy with the scent of burned sugar and rust. The ground beneath my feet felt soft and spongy, like it was alive. And the people, if you could call them that, were everywhere. They were pale and hollow-eyed like the figures on the carousel, their movements jerky and unnatural. They laughed and screamed, but their mouths never moved. I wandered to the carnival in a daze, searching for a way out. Every path led back to the same place, the Ferris wheel. Its vortex still spun, but now it was smaller, weaker, like it was feeding off this twisted dimension. I realized then what this place was. A trap, a prison, and I was its newest inmate. Time passed differently here. Hours felt like days, or maybe it was the other way around. I couldn't tell anymore. My reflection in the distorted mirrors of the funhouse began to change. My skin grew pale, my eyes hollow. My movements became sluggish, like I was being absorbed into the carnival itself. I screamed and cried, but no one heard me. Eventually, I stopped fighting. I became part of the carnival, another specter trapped in its endless loop. Sometimes I see others, real people, thrill seekers like I once was, wander into the carnival. I try to warn them. I scream, wave my arms, even throw myself in their path. But they can't see me. They can't hear me. And the carnival always takes them. If you're reading this, consider it your warning. If you ever come across an invitation to an after-hours carnival experience, don't go. No matter how tempting it seems, no matter how fearless you think you are. Because once you enter, you'll never leave. And I'll be here, waiting, forever.